Fogra. The following podcast is intended for an over 18s audience and may contain strong language.
If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The crowd is here and the lights are on, and they wanna show.
Hello and welcome back to episode 43 and the first episode of our Movember special in the Loud Crowd podcast. We won't bore you with what's going to come on the show tonight. We're just going to sort of jump straight into it here. There's a couple of queer looking mustaches and facial hair looking back at me, which is obviously great to see for the cause. Apart from Champ, obviously.
What do you mean? I have a facial hair on me.
Yeah, but you haven't got the moustache done properly. Unfortunately.
Yeah, block it. Doesn't matter.
Well, before we get into Champ's Champ's dilemma, we're in full video for Eddie here tonight. Eddie, do you want to give a wave to the camera there? He's a bit ropey here tonight.
A bit ropey, yeah.
But
you want to smarten yourself up.
Yeah, it's the first.
Yeah,
it's the
right.
first episode of the November special, so we're going to be doing 4 and 4 just to hash it out, get through a bit of deep stuff and stuff like that. So it's obviously the 4 boys here tonight: myself, Dino, Champ, Eddie. So we'll be getting into it shortly, but we let Champ give his reasoning, his stubborn reasoning for not. No, you're partaking, but like
Of course I am, but I'm just
there's no hassle. Like,
maybe I'll just let me full beard grow out because people are
don't do that.
well accustomed to me looking scruffy, but I just don't think I can face going into work with a tash and having to I can't. So
you wouldn't have the social bracket to
no, I just
to explain the situation. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, and I just can't deal with the smirks and the conversation around it. So I just made the conscious decision that I'd skip growing the tash this year, and maybe next year.
But it doesn't matter. Like, you don't, like, that's what they say. You don't have to grow the mustache. Like, we're doing an event there that's already released and live, so
yeah,
it's much of a muchness. But the social bracket is look. People in work, you either shun them off, do you know what I mean? You just shut them down, just be like,
yeah, I know. Well, look,
Would a few sneers in there that would have a good go at you for?
No, it'd be the opposite. Like,
We talk about
your back.
No.
The problem here is actually having to have a conversation with someone. That's what he's saying here.
About having to go in depth and stuff, talk about myself, I just skip that. You know what I mean?
Blocked. Yeah.
So,
good night, right?
Yeah, right. Well, there's a few dodgy faces already going round.
But I have a beard,
grow the beard out like the Vikings. So.
I'll keep the beard. Usually I don't really ever. I only shave my beard when I get my haircut. So maybe when I get my haircut, I'll get Shane to do a tidy up job on it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. For the event, say it. Yeah. So then you can just.
So I can look like I have a decent beard, and the rest of you can look awful with terrible moustaches.
Yeah, mine's gonna be exceptional.
No, it's already terrible, John. Honestly,
Ronnie and the Honda boy.
He's going since October, since the middle of October here with this now as well.
He has a full year in.
That's it.
Brutal.
That's some growing by me already, boy.
It actually is, to be fair.
Yeah.
Are you gonna plan on shaving all this, Eddie?
Yeah, I need to.
Are you gonna do that though?
Yeah.
Why did you not?
No,
you did that already.
Yeah,
is that only from Friday?
Yeah.
Your face is gonna be in bits, shaving all the time.
I know. So it's for a good cause.
Does anyone else when they shave, do you not get dead face goes like
flary?
Yeah, when
Mine's
it's thrown back.
He's a wee bit.
That's why I never clean shave. I only get it done when I go to the barber shop.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yes.
It's around there.
You've never had a facial hair, John, other than the tash.
But the tash, yeah. I was always thinking about growing the tash out, you know that?
Yeah, we know. And thanks be to God you
This
didn't.
is it.
I've rocked the tash over weekends before.
Yeah.
But I always took it off on a Monday morning.
and you'll be happy out with it. Like,
Yeah, I don't mind it.
yeah, I think, yeah.
But I've done it before. Do you remember when I had it over weekends? No,
Thank God, no.
I've done it a few times. Shane will vouch for me again. I've gone into him and I told him just to leave the tash. Karen doesn't be too pleased with that, but
I can't imagine so.
but he's gone then on the Monday morning because I just couldn't face it.
Again, back to the social bracket thing.
Yeah, well, I can deal with it around all yous, like, but I mean, trying to go in and be professional with a moustache, like, you know.
Into a big corporate meeting, yeah.
Well, people don't take you seriously. Don't take you seriously at the best times now. Never mind when you're going around with a moustache, you know.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, we understand you. Where you're coming from.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's done anyway. So we'll get into it here, will we?
Yeah.
Get into a bit of deep talk. So obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, where there's eight of us here, 8 lads involved in this podcast, and we've all been through individual and, you know, traumatic events as a group and as individuals. You have your own different things, whether it's someone passing away, relationships, life in general, work, whatever it is. So it's probably, you know, obviously we've chatted about it among ourselves, and sometimes we may not have chatted about it. You know, you bottle it up and you try and deal with it. So it's probably a unique situation to be in because of how young we actually are, and to kind of be.
some of us are touching on now, you know what I mean?
But like, look, this is it.
Dean there.
I don't know, like Dean's just gone 21, so I think Eddie's 23 this year or something, so he's getting old, he's getting along, you know. Yeah. But still, at that, like, there's probably not many people who have been in scenarios that ourselves as a group, and that extends out to the wider group of, you know, all the rest of the boys and the boys down in Kyo's and stuff like that. So it's probably just to get into it, look, as from a mental health perspective, as to, you know, how specific scenarios have caused, you know, how they've left an effect on us and how we dealt with them in certain scenarios. I know we've touched on instances like this before, but it's probably to go kind of around the room or have just a natural conversation about it to see
into sort of the back door of it all.
Yeah.
Like it's all well and good. I know we touched on it all before, but it's like everything that comes after. Do you know what I mean? It's what nobody really sees. It's what you don't really speak about either.
Absolutely.
You know, you speak about the initial, obviously the shock, the devastation, all of that sort of stuff, but it's the months and the years and that follow it. That's what sort of gets you the most, you know, and it's probably the most important part, because as you said, like we don't speak enough, and that's well known as a race. Humans probably don't speak enough, but males certainly don't speak enough. Like, even if it is us, like we probably started maybe a year ago going for a coffee just once a week more often, and it was just for that reason, because you're going through something, you know what I mean, you're going through a bit of shit, and all it takes is for one little mention of something for you to say to one of the boys, look, this isn't great one time, and then all of a sudden you snowball into going for coffees, and you're able to open up an awful lot more. But yeah, definitely like when traumatic things do happen, and in the backdrop of it all, we don't open up to each other enough at all. Like, I know, like even us here, like I'm sure, like I've things that I've, like, you'd all be my best mates. I've things I've never told you, and that I should have been able to open up and tell you.
100%.
And I'm sure it's the same vice versa. Whether it's something you want to do or not is a completely different thing. But there's definitely stuff there that should have been said to my mates and should have been opened up, and it would have solved an awful lot of hassle and money as well, to be honest with you, because it's not cheap.
But going back to that, like, in relation to kind of going for external help, like as you said there, like money and all that is involved, but you do have the luxury of a wide circle of people to go to that we don't probably use. Like, you might reach out, as you said there, we go for a coffee, whatever, you hash a bit of stuff out, and then it's parked, and you move on, you have your conversation, and then that's aired, and then you come home and you feel better about, right, that's off my chest or whatever. And then you're going kind of back to initial traumatic events. Like you're going, the initial shock happens, and then when that happens, like just going into like as a group, when that happens, I know myself, and speaking to most of the boys there, you nearly want to be out of the house. Do you know, you want to be with that group in that certain scenario when someone passes, for example, and you nearly feel comfortable, like, you know, you're standing around, everyone's on the same kind of boat, but you're having conversations, whether that's reminiscing on old times or whether that's, you know, just chatting to people that are coming through a house or whatever that you haven't seen in a while, and just having natural conversations. And that probably
helps you more than you think.
It's that's the safe space in the early stages of an event like that, in my opinion. But I can always remember when people passed, like when the boys passed, coming down to the houses and stuff like that, and we'd be chatting away, and you'd always want to get out of the house. But as soon as you got home, you'd stay in a spare room or whatever, door off, and when that door was closed and you were there at your own thoughts, it was just, that's when it hit you. And then the next day you wanted to be out of the house straight up. You didn't want to, I don't want to speak to my mother, my dad, Keane, didn't want to speak to anyone. Even people texting, like family members texting, like you're so grateful of it, but you just wanted to be down in that circle of friends in that situation.
It was a safe haven.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
It's a safe space. Everyone's feeling the same stuff, like, so it's easier to, you know, talk to people who are on the same level as you, like, you know. And I was the same, what you're after saying there, Judd. But it's at times, I know I said it before, but at times I've probably made my own home house an awful place to be, because I was going around with a big sour head, like, you know, talking to no one, and probably making life hard for everyone else in the house. But, you know, I wasn't trying to make it like that. It was just as a result of what had happened, I think, you know. I don't really know for sure, like, but because I never really went to get any external help. Not that I think I needed it. I don't actually think I did need it, you know, because I have good people around me and stuff. But I mean, I wasn't consciously going around being closed off to anyone. It was just as a result of what we went through. But, you know, we'd go out and meet the boys or whatever we were doing, and I'd be grand in that scenario, you know, that sort of way. But yeah, as you say, when you go home to close the door and you're with yourself and your own thoughts, it does get hard at times like that. It still does, like, you know.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like it doesn't, like you find it doesn't, like people say it does get easier, but it doesn't really. Like you just kind of learn to cope with it a wee bit better, isn't it?
Definitely.
100%.
Like I agree with what you were saying there, Judd. Like getting out of the house was a big thing for me when Sean passed, because, you know, it takes your mind away from it, and then obviously, as you say, like once you close the door again, you're back into that headspace, like, and it can be very daunting as well, like.
Definitely.
Like, it's scary because you don't know what way, like you nearly think you have to feel a certain way when stuff like that happens, and it's like you don't, like, you know, it's a big thing that I always think about, like, you know, everyone deals with, no matter what it be, whether it be someone passing away, whether it be losing a game of football, whether it be, I don't know, not being able to lift a certain weight in the gym that you thought you'd be able to, like, if you fail at something or you lose someone, like, you don't have to feel a certain way or feel the way everyone else is feeling, like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone deals with it in their own way. That's be my opinion anyways. Like, I'm, you know, I went and, like, there's never a right way to deal with it or a wrong way to deal with it, and it's never the right time or the wrong time to smile or laugh through difficult times either, like. Do you know what I mean? That'd be my view, like, because if you don't smile or laugh through some tough times, it's like, you know, like,
the weight comes down your shoulders even more.
You'll send yourself mad, like, because the reality of a lot of these situations is, like, you know, life does go on, like, and that's probably the hardest thing. But you know, I suppose for when you lose people, I suppose the most important thing is like you're never gonna ever forget people that you lose, like you know, that have been in your life for so long. Like you can't forget them. Like you spent all your life growing up with them, no matter who it is, your brother, your best mate, or whatever it is to you. Like you'll never forget them. But the harsh reality of life is life does go on. Like, and you know, you have to pick yourself up and go again. And I don't think, you know, people don't expect the world to stop for them when they pass on either. Like, you know.
No, but it's tough.
Of course it is.
That's a tough thing it's a tough thing to comprehend, because everything does sort of pause and stop for a couple of days.
Yeah.
You know, everything slows down anyway. Slows right down, because you have obviously the formalities of everything going on, and then it's nearly like the worst days are yet to come, because it's after it all, and everybody, and look, everything, like I said, life does go on.
Yeah.
Like, and all the people that were there that were great, coming and comforting and all, and hearing stories, and that, just it's in the blink of an eye, just done. And that's tough. That's tough to deal with. You know?
It's extremely tough when it gets to when you're saying when all that stops, and then we go back to your own thoughts and stuff. But it's nearly that when you come to say something like a month's mind. I know we're focusing on this here because this is where we're at the minute, but that's nearly harder than the initial, you know, that week, say, because that's when you're kind of there and you're really thinking about it, and it's beginning to sink in even more and more and more. And as Eddie's saying there, like it never ever will get any easier, and it's coping mechanisms, and it's going on to what Champ was saying. It's like everyone deals with grief in different way, like, and he made a great point there about you never know what's the right thing to do. Like we could be standing somewhere and there could be three lads chatting within the group, and then there could be another guy over in the corner bawling, crying, and then you're thinking, oh well, is it right here that I'm having a joke? Not a joke, but just a happy
memory or whatever
memory
maybe,
here. And should I be on the same boat as that?
Feel guilty.
Yeah,
it's nearly that feeling of guilt, and you do find yourself, because you know it comes to a stage when you're going through stuff like that, when you do actually, to use the expression, be like you have no tears left, because you've literally got, you know, you've cried and cried and cried and cried, and then you're like, oh gee, am I emotionless because I'm not crying? And it's just it's just literally because I found that you're going, well, I'm after crying there for fucking 6 days straight. Like obviously, like I'm not gonna have any emotion left, and your body does become emotionless because, like,
just adapts to the situation that you're in. Like, and
it's
normalizes it.
It's an event like that you've never like experienced before. So your brain doesn't know what's going on, your body doesn't know what's going on, and then as you kind of, for us, like you lose another friend or a family member, or you know, someone from a GA club or a football club or something like that. Each event is, or each passing is completely different. It's completely different emotions, it's completely different feelings, and there's completely different ways of dealing with it.
100%.
Do you know? And just like from my perspective, you do find yourself, as you're saying, Champ, external help. I never went for it either and didn't need it, but not that you didn't need it, but you felt you didn't need it. But when you pull back when you pull it all back, you're probably saying, Jesus, like it probably has an everlasting effect on me. Like like from then to now, how have I changed? And it's like, right, yeah, you've got older and stuff like that, but at the same time, like this has had an effect on the person that you've become, because, you know, as you're saying, you're going around, you're in a mood or whatever, you don't want to talk to people, you're snapping at people, you're creating a hostile environment, and then other times people only trying to get through to you and chat and check in, and then you're like, well, look, I don't want that, you know. And it's all this thing flowing through your head, and it's you know, it's weird. It's a weird scenario. And just to probably from your perspective, Eddie, like, I'm just asking you as a question, like, like that, like Sean obviously was our brother, Connor, all the boys we were like brothers, like we're all like brothers, we're all here. But for you being in like a house that you grew up in, like that, like that's completely different to our feelings, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know where you're coming from. Yeah, it is, like, but I still feel like yous obviously yous won't relate to as much of an extent, but yous definitely were very, very close. Like that's the way I felt, like, you know, yous are same as me. Yous lost one of yours, you said brothers there, like, but it is like yous made it like very easy for me as well, like I talk a lot of the, I don't even know how you'd even say it, like I talk a lot of all the weight off your shoulders, like a lot, even just there, well, if you are doing something, if you're going to the pub there, just text me there, get me up there, going for a coffee, as you say, just going anywhere, just kind of take your mind off it a wee bit, and then you can talk about it, which is as well, like, because don't know, I felt like it was easier to talk to yous, like, than it was kind of people not my age, like, but my mates as well, like,
your own,
and then like it kind of is, like, because it was easier to relate to yous, like,
we just would have known Sean better than your mates,
like,
with that, like, and you obviously knew them better than your own mates, like, so it was easier to relate and sort of share stories or memories, whatever it may be, like, and that definitely, well, that helps me, like, you know.
Yeah, no, it is,
and it's brought us closer to you, and you closer to us. Like, the podcast here is an example of that. But like, from then to now, like, I couldn't believe it the other day when we were away and you told me your age. I was like, what is going on here? This is absolutely mental. But
didn't hear that.
But it is like, it's a unique scenario where, like,
yeah, but you and Dean are just ancient.
Yeah, but I'm not. He's a year and a half older than me. Like,
that's I'm not a year and a half older than you.
You're a year and a half younger than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be saying that about yourself, Eddie.
I like that.
Don't be getting into that bracket. Don't be doing that.
Don't be saying that, putting yourself down like that.
He be changing the passport. Dean Maguire, 23. Eddie will go to
It's mad that Dean's 30 in January.
Dean's not 30 in January.
2 years. 2 years. 2 years. But
not 2 years. Either or something. Blocked the whole lot of this.
But like, probably to go like down different avenues, say like we're going back to the uniqueness of it, like, or not even unique is the wrong word, because it's like it's a freak situation nearly, do you know? And it's even like recently, like, we've lost family members over the last couple of weeks, and it's been like, you're on the different side of it here, like, you know, like, we've lost family members, and then I'm seeing my family grieving, and it's even harder then, because you're trying to put a front on as well.
Yeah, that's so hard, because, like, obviously we have lost family recently, and you know, it's been awful the last couple of weeks, but sort of really thinking about, like, your parents in that situation, and sort of just relating it back to myself when we were going through tough times, and what I wanted and what I didn't want, and sort of trying to approach it in that sort of a scenario, like, but again, like no one knows what to do. No one knows what to say.
Like you say, champ, everyone's different.
Everyone's just dealing with it in their own way, like, and you know, maybe sometimes just being there is the best thing. Just don't even have to say anything, like.
No.
And that's probably what helped me a lot in my own family. It's like, you know, start peppering me with questions about how I'm feeling or what, like, you know, let's be honest about it, like, you're probably not okay.
Yeah.
You know, not yet anyways. So, like, just having the comfort of someone's presence beside you that you know loves you and is worried about you and wants to be there for you, that's probably the best thing that you can do. Like, so
I agree. Like, it's trying to relate from our perspective. It's trying to relate to our experiences, and as Dean's saying there, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Because
people want different things.
People want different things,
times,
and it's completely different. And presence, I think, is just a massive thing. But then on the same side of that, sometimes, like, it's just like, right, you need to be by yourself.
Yeah.
But it's not even us. Like, I'm kind of deviating away from here. It's like, right, well, maybe they want to be by themselves.
Yeah,
now.
you don't want to be overbearing
be,
then at times.
and
like,
you don't want to be, like, as you say. But then again, you have some people that want to be asked, are you okay, or how, like, what about this? And trying to reminisce and remember memories and stuff like that. And like, every time you think back and you see a photo there coming up in your Snapchat memories, or someone puts a picture in, or a video in, or a photo pops up, or something like that, that just gives you a slight reminder to anything.
Yeah.
It is that.
Brings you back to that time, like, it does.
It brings you back to that time, and then you have that little reminisce, and then that's when your kind of your emotions start to really overflow and come back, and it hit you like a ton of bricks, like, you know. And that's to go back on, like, where with family members, it's so difficult. Like, it's to know what somebody's feeling and what somebody wants. It's so difficult. Like,
it is 100%. It is, but, like, I don't know. I think the best thing you can do, like, it goes back to the talking part of it. Like, tell people what you want from them, or you know, like, if you just want a moment to yourself, like, you know, tell them. Or if you want, if you're there and you're asking, oh, how are you, or what's, just be like, oh no, I'm fine, like, I just want a moment to myself, or whatever, you know, that sort of way. Like, or whether it be, no, will you come here with me, I need you to come here with me. It's like, you know, whatever it may be, like, just honest, tell people what you want. Or
But that's what it is, and, like, exactly that. Like we say, we don't know.
no one knows.
Everybody's different. But if we did communicate, if we communicated, then that's all. That's all abolished.
Because there is,
you know,
like,
then you, like you said, then you know everything that you. Because everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to do whatever they can, whether it's nothing or whether it's everything. Everybody wants to help the person that is struggling or whatever's going on.
But, like, you have to remember,
to communication.
I always think as well, like, when people do go suffer a loss or whatever it may be, and it's like, for the next year, the only thing people are saying to them is, sorry to hear, and how are you? Like, when they go out into public, like, surely that is just painful. And people,
but for some it might be, champ. For some it might not be. Like, for other people that might be.
True.
That might be really comforting.
Yeah,
because they might think that, like we talk afterwards, when everything life moves on, in your head you might think, right, everybody's forgotten. But next of all, 2 months later, you're walking down the street and someone comes over. It's like, well, everybody hasn't forgotten.
People definitely think I'm sour as fuck because
no,
seriously though, whenever,
but I understand.
Whenever
I get what you mean.
Whenever people suffer a loss or go through a difficult time or whatever, and it's, you know, people know about it and you know the person, and I never ever say, like, oh, I'm sorry to hear or anything.
Like, I'm sorry.
Unless it's like an immediate group, and, like, I know that the person that they've lost is, like, really close to them. But I mean, do you know, like, an extended friend or whatever that knows you and know, like, I'd never, when I see them in person, I might shoot them a text if they were, like, close enough, and I know that Jesus, that's tough on them there. But, like, if I seen them in person, then once I shot them that message, it's like, nah, I don't want to bring that up. Like, you know, it's good to see them, obviously, and I know they're suffering, but they don't want me bringing it up again, like, you know.
Yeah, like, I was going to say there, like, I'd agree with kind of, the way I felt, like, the both of yours, like, kind of felt about as what your dad saying there. You find a confidence sometimes when people are coming up to you, but then there is other times where you might just not be in the mood that day, kind of really talking, and then there's people coming over.
Sometimes it can be awkward, like.
Yeah, like, and that's what it is.
It's like you don't know what to say then.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, yeah,
Even
thanks very much.
As you said, like when, let's say, 3 or 4 months go past there, and you might be out walking, or you might be out in the pub somewhere, and someone just comes up to you and says something there, like, and it might just spark the wrong way, and it kind of just leaves you a wee bit down there. Like,
yeah, you don't know what way to feel about it. Yeah,
but
well, it does, because you could be out having a good time or something, and then someone says sorry for or whatever, and then what we were saying earlier, you sort of think, then do I have to feel a certain way here now? Because thereafter, you know, you could be having a great night, and then someone brings up a difficult time, and then it's sort of like, I was enjoying myself there, but now do I feel like I have to be sad and sour here, even though like I'm actually okay?
And no one means it, like,
no, of course they don't. No, but that's what I was going to say to Dean. It's like, you know, people probably are expecting you to say it sometimes, and then you don't, and then they're like, fucking sour cunt, like, you know. Do you know what I mean?
But you're sour cunt, so it's grand.
But it's 100%. Like that point on condolences, like along the line, you never really know, because you feel that it could be an awkward situation then in that sense. But then again, somebody might take it that he didn't, you know, he didn't mention it.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's never a right and wrong thing to do. That goes back to that point, you know.
And people who are saying it, obviously, probably saying it because they may have gone through something similar themselves and could relate to you, or just saying it to be polite. You know, like, no one's like, that's one thing I found in them scenarios as well. Like, you know, people are actually really good. You know, and no matter how bad you think people can be, like, you see how good people are when times get a wee bit difficult. Like,
you see how much of a impact a person can have on so many people's lives, and you feel that when that many people are around and coming up to you, and that you're going, well, look, at least you know that you have like this community around you nearly. Do you know what I mean? And that goes a long way as well. Like, and it goes then probably on to like coping mechanisms. Then you go into you go down that alley then over. You have to adopt some sort of coping mechanism or some sort of routine, because you have to get back into that. You can't just sit in a dark room for 10 years, like, do you know what I mean?
No, you have to 100, like, and that goes with a lot of things. Obviously, like, coping mechanisms are in every walk of life. Like what we spoke about at the start, like the amount of different things that can go on inside someone's head, and it's about getting the right coping mechanisms is like incredibly important. And nobody can teach you, nobody can tell you. This all has to be coming from yourself. Like, after more, like, I spoke about it before, about it, how long it took me to come to terms with things, and my coping mechanism then was gambling. That's what I went into, and I went, like, it was skipping college, but that was what got me. Like, football obviously was there, but football was there from 8 to 9 in the evenings or whatever, it's 7:30 to 8:30, and then that was it, and then a game at the weekend. But it was the fact that the bookies was always there, the phone was always there, able to go and gamble. That was my coping mechanism. That was how I got out of my own head, and I was able to forget about everything because I was watching this dickhead in the back of a horse or this piece of shit dog running around the fucking track. But it wasn't, and that went on until it caught up with me, and I was €8,000 deep in money that wasn't mine. Do you know what I mean?
But this is
these
going.
But that, like, yeah. Look, it's something, like, it's obviously it's a pretty price to pay for something. But then I've noticed what's good for me and what's not good for me in the darkest of times. You know what I mean? So an €8,000 loan to pay back something was it worth it in the end? Well, look, it could have been better, but in the end, like it's a small price to pay lifelong wise, because if that had kept going on for God knows how long, it could be a lot more than €8,000 that I'm down. Do you know what I mean?
100%. You could have fucking lost a lot more than money in a scenario.
God,
like
I didn't have a house back then. It would have been on what's that, Annie Power? It would have been on Annie Power at Cheltenham. Fucking hell.
But that's gone on to the like, that's a coping mechanism, but it's going on to like we're speaking about mental health here, and we're speaking about probably bottling stuff up like that, and that's an event like you like what we're saying here is that it's not only like losses, it can be work, it can be relationship, it can be anything, and like we've all been through stuff like that. We've all been like hit in different ways with stuff like that, and these are little triggers that build up and build up and build up and build up, and you don't see it building up, and then as you say, like, you find a distraction nearly, but it's unknown to yourself that this is the root cause of that until you actually go and get some form of help, because then you're going, right, well, like, where has this originated from, right? Like, and then you start speaking and you're going, well, yeah, that's not normal. Like, you don't go through that, and you don't go through that, and you don't go through that, and you don't then just like bottle it up as if nothing happens, but you don't just like bypass it and then leave it there and have no consequence. You have to have, or no coping mechanism. You have to have some sort of routine, and it's a trigger that just build up and build up and build up, and then you don't see it, and then all of a sudden
it manifests itself into something that's, in Dean's fucking scenario, that just makes you and leaves you worse.
Non-beneficial.
If you don't have something to...
It wasn't just grief. Like, there was obviously
Jesus,
there was a lot of other shit going on.
We know that.
I'd been in the loud panel and was gone out of that. So that was, for me, that was over.
But this is what Judd's saying. Like, there's
like
the
that,
whole
to
lot
build
of
up of everything, and then it's just you dive into one.
But that's the thing. Like, a whole lot of disappointment just, it has to release itself in some way or another.
Yeah.
And in your case, it just happened to be gambling, but in other people's cases, it could be a lot different. To go home and fall out with the woman and break up with her or something, and then that turns out to be an awful decision a couple of years down the line. They're saying, what? Why did I push him or her away? Do you know, that sort of way? Like, it doesn't necessarily, like, there's loads of different negative impacts you can have if you don't have something,
and it could be life changing like that.
Mechanism.
It could be life changing.
It is a life change.
Like what Champ's saying there. Like, if it is a family, all of a sudden, like, you lose everything that you had there because you felt that you couldn't speak to somebody. Like, I felt I couldn't speak to anyone about it. It was huge embarrassment. You know what I mean? And I get that, and I understand that, but like, I hadn't got that to lose.
Yeah.
But for people that have like houses, wives, kids, businesses, and to lose them because they can't bring themselves to come and speak up about things.
Yeah. It's a big ego thing as well.
Huge,
like,
huge.
in about like people speaking up, and that I find sometimes, even myself, like, if I'm struggling with stuff, like, I wouldn't be speaking to or letting people know what I'm struggling with, because it's like, I feel like I need to have some sort of an ego, like,
and this is
to uphold. But I'm sort of thinking to myself, like, who do I think I am? Do you know, that sort of way? It's like, you need to snap yourself back into reality in some cases. But
this is what we're trying to. This is the whole point of kind of what we're doing here, is to, and the whole Movember thing is the fact that, like, those days are gone that you should feel like, and look, you do in certain times feel like, right, I don't want to speak about that, and you don't want that, and that's it. Like, but the whole emphasis is on kind of promoting, if you're struggling in any, like, no matter how big or how small, anyway, just like, go have a coffee, get it off your chest, and then it's once it's off your chest, out in the open, that's just it. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a small a small
it could be
line of
something that happened
conversation. Yeah.
in the day that
Yeah.
put you down. Like, do you
Well,
know
you
what I mean?
don't. Yeah, it's a tough. It's even. There's so many layers to it. Like, you know, but
I know
I'm
from
not saying you go and pour your heart out to all
No,
your mates.
no,
Like,
yeah.
you know, you don't have to do it that way.
you don't have
'Cause-
to give the ins and outs.
Mm.
It's just you have to give. If you just give the tip of an iceberg to someone,
Yeah.
and then they'll know, right? Like that meant a lot to him there, because he doesn't really speak about that, or he doesn't.
Like, let's
know
be.
what I mean?
We're sitting here talking about that. That's like the opening up and stuff. But I mean, like, I wouldn't be the one to open up and talk about my problems with anyone really. But I
No.
mean, it's something that I probably need to do a wee bit more. You know,
Yeah.
well, a wee bit more need to do for the first time. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that sort of way, because you know, I wouldn't have ever really found myself opening up to many of the boys. I would have, like, probably would have spoke to Rob like a good bit, but even when you put your problems out and to tell someone about them, the problems I think I have sometimes are tiny compared to some, but to me they're not. Like, you know,
But that's
Yeah.
like that's the whole point of this, because it doesn't matter, because
Yeah.
like
yeah,
a problem in your head,
it's a problem.
it's a
Yeah.
problem. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how big or how small it might seem
Yeah.
to somebody else. It's a problem
Yeah.
because it's in your head, and
No,
it's the biggest thing
100%.
going on in
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
head at the minute. So it's just as big as the
Mm.
next fellas.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And I think that you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I was like this, but it was whenever, like, the fear of speaking to somebody is by getting a lecture or advice off them,
yeah,
rather than just being able to talk to someone and
100%.
just listening.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
someone bloody preaching down your neck on what
Yeah.
you need to do, and it's just like you haven't got a clue. Like,
you don't need that.
yeah, exactly.
If you're going
Yeah.
to someone for
Yeah.
and you have trusted them with this
Yeah.
sort of stuff, and you want to speak to them, you don't want all that back.
yeah, yeah,
Now, in time, by no means, like, I've gone to stuff with him, and he just sat and listened, which is great.
Mm.
And then, but in a couple of weeks' time, he might come down and go, "How are you getting on with this?
Mm.
Would you do this? Would you do that?" Do you know what I mean? And that's fine. But for that initial sort of outpour that you want to do, you just need someone to be there to hear you.
Yeah. It's not easy to do, you know.
And then even there, the way you're on about, like, even if it is a tiny problem that you think, like, it still is meeting one of the boys there, going for a coffee, or you just say to them, FaceTime them. Like, once you're done there, it actually, you feel it off your chest, don't you? Like, you feel so much more clearer about it. Like, it's definitely something that I've tried to do a lot more. Like, I felt like maybe at the start there, even, like, what was going through my head, whatever, much on, like, I didn't really want to talk about it and kind of tried to bottle it up and just say to everyone I was grand, but you know, deep down you're not. But you just don't want to be, you almost feel like you're putting someone else out of the way, even though you're not. Like, you're feeling it in your own head. Like,
That's your head goes into this spiral that, like, I don't want to be burdening them.
yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not a burden. Like, it's not at all. Like, it's nearly a relief when somebody comes to you with something like that, and you're like, "Fuck, I'm delighted." They feel that they can come and open up, and I know that for all my mates, like all 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever it is, or family or anything, like, and people just have it. They nearly just need to be, like, pushed a wee bit into that, like, just, you know, say one thing, and then it's not like I'm coming to someone every week with fucking my weekly problem.
Weekly.
Hear me out here
Yeah.
now. Wait, what's happening now?
No,
in
but
my
it's
head.
not. It's not.
No.
It's not that. Like,
It's not. It's kind
You
of.
don't have to have a problem either. Like,
No.
you know, that sort of way.
Definitely, like-
Majority of the time, people are going to be okay.
Yeah.
No matter what problem it is. But I mean, that's not to say there's no problems out there. Like, we all struggle with something, and I think sometimes this is my own view now. This could get a bit of a laugh, but I think sometimes a bit of stress is good. You know?
Yeah, right.
Having
okay.
a bit of stress, no matter what it be, whether it be in work, just home life, football, I think it's great to have a wee bit of stress because it means that you actually care about stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
And it actually pushes you on to get stuff done as well.
Yeah.
Do you know, like if you have no stress, like what's the motivation to actually follow through from A to Z or from beginning to end? You know, so
Yeah.
but then then in saying that, if you are having stress with something, you know, talking to someone about what you're stressing out about can help you get through the problem as well. Okay, get from the beginning to the end. So yeah, I don't know. I always like having a wee bit of stress because it means that, you know, I'm worth something to something.
You give a fuck.
You're responsible for something, you know. So that's what's causing you stress. And you know, sometimes I don't think it's a bad thing. Like I like having stress.
Yeah. And
not too much now,
but that, like, we're going back to coping mechanisms, and just from my perspective there, like that's nearly like a coping mechanism for you to be like, right, that's a bit of clarity and a bit of sense of worth as such that, you know, motivates you to kind of keep going. And
yeah, no,
do you know what I mean?
100%. That's it. Like
I know from going through, say, the last 5 to 6 years, like you go through an initial period of like blank, of not like just nothing. Like you don't know. You just, when you start back into your routine, you go to work, you go to training, you come home, go to work, go to training, come home, and that just becomes kind of a cycle. And then you're kind of emotionless as such when you're going through this period, and then it's like a bottle. You're just filling the bottle, and then eventually it just fucking explodes, like. And you feel like, I know from my perspective, like you nearly had a traumatic event a year, and sometimes 2 or 3 throughout the year, like a really, whether it was like a grief or like a fucking relationship thing or work or whatever, like
something blows up on
like, and when something like that happens, you feel like you're like, the walls are coming down on me here, like what have I done here, like, to deserve this? And then it's not a sense of feel sorry for me, but it's a sense of like what is happening, like, do you know, like why, and you start asking all these questions, like, am I a bad person, like what, do you know what I mean? All these things go through your head, and then from my perspective, you start to act out. And in my own experience, it was like I was acting out to family members, like snapping, couldn't talk to me, still probably can't talk to me to an extent, because it's like sometimes you're just not in the form for it. And then that carries into kind of your safe haven of like a football pitch. You start absolutely like just, and everyone's like, oh, he's a fucking dickhead, I'm falling out with him, but that's coming as a result of just fucking an overflow of emotions that were never released, and it just exploded out of the bottle.
That's what it is. That's what I mean. You build these things up in your own head, and then everyone blows it out in different ways. Like, you know, whether it be on the football pitch, like whether it be shouting at your teammates or getting sent off. You know, like people. That's only for a football pitch as an example, but I mean, there's probably people in work. Like, you know, just because we mightn't be able to relate to it as much as we can relate to people blowing out in a football pitch. But you, like, you know, there could be people you work with, like, and you know, they're all, this isn't from my own perspective now, but I mean, in environments, like people's coping mechanisms of their release, because they're bottling so much things up, they might be getting antsy at their teammates in work or whatever, you know.
But you don't know. But that goes back to the point that you don't know, like, because people didn't know what was going on with me, and something happened, like, for say, to go away from the grief, like a relationship fell through, and then that happened, and then you nearly become desperate. Like I became desperate then to be like, is this my fault? Do you know what I mean? And then on top of that, you're still like, all this grief and stuff, that's all still fairly like new to you. And this is happening, and you go through that flow of emotions of desperation, and then it's like, I'm desperate this time, but when I go here, I'm really like aggressive, like this is my safe haven, I'm gonna fucking just release all this thing out into that. And then eventually you come around to yourself and you're just like, look, I know I'm a good person, I know I have a good circle of friends, I know I have a good family, I have a good, you know, team, a good, you know, a good community around me. And it just gives you that wee bit of, it goes back to that wee conversation of being like, am I? And then it's like, no. And then do you know what I mean? And it comes to that sense where you then become, you start to kind of deal with it. And like I and Dean, I'll tell you, like, and I was chatting to someone else about it the other day. Like, still to this day, like, from like we all, I be telling you, going for a spin and all that. I jump into the car some nights, whether it's after training, whether it's a fucking Thursday night or whatever. You go blare the music, go around, drive around for an hour. You might say, like, you might have no thoughts in your head, just listen to the music and drive, and then you might bawl your eyes out for 25 minutes and then go home and then you're grand. And that's how, like, over the years that I've been kind of, that was my safe haven. Being like, right, well, this is where I feel comfort in it. Do you know what I mean? Because you're like, right,
I wouldn't be recommending that either, like,
but it's not like
you're all right with it.
But it could be in the house, like, when everyone's away, I could have headphones on and making me lunch or something like that. Do you know what I mean? And that's just like a thing where it's like, right, fuck, relief, like, that's release. And it's not like, I don't mean like every day or every week, like,
I know
it's probably once a month there that you might
there's
go
no
away
harm in going for a spin in the car.
I mean?
Like, yeah, honestly, speaking of spins in cars, that's where I love doing it.
Yeah,
by myself in the car.
So, like, when you are feeling shite and feeling really down, what do you do? So Jordan, obviously, he would go drive. Like, what would, like, it doesn't have to be a spur of the moment thing. Like, do you plan something? Do you dive into a new activity? Like,
when I feel most like content is when I have a good routine of, like, just day-to-day routine, and I'm going to the gym and I'm training. Like, that's,
yeah. But how would you change if you were down? What was is there something you have? Is there a coping mechanism that you have to change it? No, you just wait until you get back into your routine.
Yeah, like, times when I'm down, like, it'd just be,
but it's routine for you, so
routine. Yeah, I just need
routine is your coping mechanism.
Yeah. I just need to, like, I find if I know what I'm doing, like, I've even been Karen, we've over the last few weeks, and we haven't been doing it every day over the last few weeks, but we have done it probably more so than not. Like, I've started to really try and plan my day from morning to night, especially on the weekends, because, like, going around haphazardly and not knowing what's coming next, that stresses me out, like, you know.
Well, it's difficult, champ.
Organisation, like,
obviously it'll never work out, like, certainly, but I like to have an estimate of, right, here we need to do this, there we need to do that, and if I have that, it's like, right, I know now when I finish this I need to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, right,
but
there's no messing about. It's just go get yourself sorted out, because you need to be there, and once you're done that, you need to go there then. And because if I didn't have that, it'd just be, I'll sit down here and watch football for an hour, like, do you know, and
all
it's
of
like,
a sudden 8 hours pass,
and it's
you've done nothing,
chaos. And it's like, no, I know myself, if I sit down on the sofa for an hour or two, it's like I just become useless and sour, and it's like
you become the sofa.
Yeah, honestly. So it's just avoiding that situation at all costs. Like,
definitely.
What about you, Eddie?
Yeah, I think music's very good coping mechanism for me. Like, sad songs or happy songs. Like, I
love a good sad song, man.
Sad song, like, sometimes
I love it.
Sad song. Like a good sad song there. Like, as Jod said, you're out in the car, might go down to the shore, or I might just stick the headphones in and take a walk down to Soldiers Point there at Navy Bank, like, and just be locking up, just kind of feeling, just going clear in your head, like, you know, stay away from a screen, because I feel like that can also, no, I don't even know what you can
overwhelm you.
Yeah, like, I feel like you have to just get outside and just.
It's nearly like you want a blank canvas here, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But you want other stuff going on to help what's happening here.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Dave?
Probably like that as well. Sad songs, yeah, big man for a sad song. And like if my head's on a swivel and it's doing mad things, then I'd nearly have to, like, put my body through the pain that's in my head, if that makes sense. So in terms of, like, in terms of training, obviously,
very good. Yeah.
So I'd have to go and nearly be in tears with that as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whether, like, just push myself to somewhere that I'm like, right, I pushed myself, I can't go any further, And then once I step back from that, I'm all of a sudden it's nearly like your head flushes down with the sweat.
Yeah.
You know?
Very good.
Yeah.
Look. I think that's kind of the purpose of. We'll probably finish up here now.
We will, because we 5-side and I'm late already.
We'll finish up that. This is the whole purpose of this kind of series throughout Movember. Like, and the other 4 lads will be on next week, and no doubt they'll have different experiences and different coping mechanisms and stuff like that. But our whole purpose and our whole kind of emphasis on this whole thing is that, you know, if there is stuff like that going on, like especially it's men's mental health, but it doesn't have to only be men as well. Like, do you know what I mean?
Definitely not.
Like, you do just find yourself reaching out to someone. Like, reach out to someone, try it. If you don't like it, then you know, right, that's not for me. You know what I mean? And try and find that safe haven and that coping mechanism in place. And for us now, we've never done something like this before, and it's refreshing from our perspective. And I know that a lot of our mates that are going to hear this, and a lot of people that hopefully do hear this, will find a bit of comfort in what we're doing here and like what goes on over the month of Movember. And yeah, it was nice just to have this conversation.
Won't be the last one.
Definitely not, lads. No, very good.
Feel 2 stone light. I just wish it was.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah,
Honestly.
yeah. So yeah, just to finish up then, like, if you are feeling down, like, and even if you don't know us, as we said last week, everything's completely anonymous.
Yeah.
Our email is open. It's at theloudcrowd8@gmail.com, and the Instagram is open there. Just reach out if there's anything, or even if there's any questions anyone has in relation to anything that we've spoke about there. Don't be afraid to reach out, because, you know,
Delighted to help.
Champ's not as sour as he says, and
He's dead on over text.
he's dead on over text. So yeah, reach out if needs be, and we'll have the boys on next week, and we'll chat to you then.
Thanks, folks.
Peace.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The crowd is here and the light